Hey guys, I know I don't look like the most flattering person on the internet right now. This morning we got up and I had to get my girls ready for the little fall carnival that they have at the school. So I got ready, put like some fun makeup on, and then like I've just been so tired because I've been like making shirts for them, and so I was up till like 1 o'clock. So that's why I'm extremely tired. So I wanted to come on here because yesterday I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys. I got that one specific time when I was looking like a weirdo in one of the car wash machine stalls. But at any rate, I had said that I was going to come back on here, and I'm really sorry I didn't. Like I said, I was up till 1 making those shirts. So, okay. So last night while I was making those shirts, usually when I'm just kind of in silence, I like to kind of just in my head talk to God, and I'm kind of in my head a lot, to be honest. I feel like some majority of my day, I'm like always in my head. Sometimes I even forget to like be present in the moment. But I kept feeling as if I needed to make a video on, because I kept asking God, I was like, if I'm really going to take up this adventure and this new journey of being on YouTube and sharing the gospel and what I learn, and basically my journey being reborn again, and following Jesus and looking out for like the things that are biblical in nature. So I was like, I don't know, really what else to put on here. And about a good 4 times, I wouldn't say any less than 4. I just kept feeling this strong urge to give you guys my testimony. It's quite a bit, so I apologize if this is lengthy. So I'll just go ahead and get started. Obviously, my name is Kimberly, and I'm going to change the name of this channel. Instead of Designs by Kim, I'm going to change it to something else. But my name is Kim, and I have 3 beautiful, beautiful kids. I have a 12-year-old little girl, and I have a 10-year-old little girl, and an 8-year-old little girl. When I was 15, well, let's start even farther than that. As a child, I had always had like a lot of imaginary friends. Well, I thought that they were real, obviously. The thing is that I was still kind of feeling them at even 12. I was a lot older. In my adulthood, I realized that I don't really think that that's what that was. I really, honestly, truly believe, I don't know if anybody will believe this or not, but I truly believe it was just angels. I have always felt a strong connection when I was younger. And I still remember the one that I talked to all the time, and her name was Ava. I don't know why. I even had a little teddy bear that was named that when I was even younger, like when I was 8. But as I got older, it just stuck with me, even after I lost the bear. When I turned 15, I met a boy. And 10 years later, we had 3 kids. We were married. We seemed to live a great life. Until up to about, it was 2010. I found out I was pregnant with my youngest in October of 2010. And we were trying. But before that, I was having like really bad headaches, like to the point of like tears. Like I was in severe pain all the time behind this eye. This eye actually gets swollen even like if the seasons are changing, or if like there's a lot of ragweed in the air or something, because of all the scar tissue. But I'll get to that. I was in a lot of pain, and there were times I was like pulling chunks of hair out of my head because it was just, I would get this, what they called a headache. behind it was pressure, straight pressure behind this right eye. And it was debilitating because there'd be times, especially, when my, at the time, husband was at work, I was with 2 kids by myself, and this was before I found out I was pregnant. And so we went to the eye doctor. We had taken my birth control out. We had tried, numerous things until when I went to the eye doctor one day, she said, I have one more test to run. I don't know if it's going to show anything, but I'd like to try it. And I said, okay. So you basically put your chin on this thing, and like you see the dots, and like every time you see the dots, you click this little button in your hand. And I don't really know exactly what that does, but a couple days later, she told me that I really needed to get in with my primary care doctor. Well, I didn't have insurance, and all I had was my, at the time, husband's insurance, and it wasn't that great. The vision was great, believe it or not, and so was the dental, but the medical sucked. I don't know, it was really weird. Anyway, so she said that I really needed to make an appointment with my primary care, so I did. I didn't make the appointment right away. I found out I was pregnant in October 2010, got on Sooner Care, and that's when I made an appointment, because there were days that I would just pass out on the floor, and I had 2 little girls, running around. One was almost 5 and the other was almost 3. So, it was sad because I would just pass out. Sometimes my husband would come home and he'd see me on the floor and he wouldn't know why. Or I'd be locked up in our room, in a dark room, pulling at my hair, and I'd have chunks of hair missing. It was bad. It was a bad deal. So I got to a doctor's appointment. They said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get you. Sorry if that interrupted anything. Somebody was trying to call. So they made me an appointment for an MRI. I got the MRI, and December 19th, which is my mom's birthday of 2010, I got a letter in the mail. And prior to this, I kept telling, I don't know why I remember this, but back in September of 2010, I kept telling my dad I thought it was a tumor. And he was like, no, don't say that. Don't talk like that. And December 19th, I found out I had a pituitary macroadenoma. Macro meaning just larger than, it's not micro, because there's microadenoma as well, which is basically a mass on my pituitary gland. And that's when things changed. My entire life changed. My body changed. I started gaining a lot of weight. I used to be one of those that was like super, super little, like super skinny. And I gained a lot of weight. Granted, I gained weight too because I was pregnant, but I gained more weight with her than I ever did my other 2. And it was because of the tumor. But they were going to do a surgery before she was born, between the 4th, 5th, and 6th month, because that's kind of like, the baby's obviously still forming and growing, but it's not near as much as, it's not like the essential stuff like in the 1st and 3rd trimester. So we had planned on it, but then he backed out and said he didn't feel comfortable doing it. So he wanted to wait until after she was born. So we had planned for the late summer of 2011. My blood pressure was rising all the time. I was having a lot of issues, and they were having to put me on replacement hormones. For instance, one is hydrocortisone. That's something that your adrenals need. Your body automatically produces that if you're an average human being. I think it produces like 7 something, an hour, I think is what it is. And mine don't produce that at all. I also have hypothyroidism now, and so I had to start on a synthetic drug. And so all these things that are new, to your body, my body was struggling to handle it. And one night, I just remember I woke up and I felt great. I went to work, I cleaned, I mean, it was just amazing in this pregnancy. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, yes. And I had, like I said, I struggled with blood pressure issues at that time. And then, I went to work. I do nails. So I was doing a pedicure that day, did it, went home, and some stuff was happening. And so I called my doctor. She told me to get up there. Knowing me, third kid, I was like, all right, I'll be up there. And I waited like 2 hours. Finally went up there, and I just kept telling my husband at the time, I was like, we're not coming home. I was like, this baby's going to be born. We're not going to see the kids for a couple days. He's like, no, it's not a big deal. Yeah, no. I went in, and my body did what it knew to do best. It gave birth at 31 weeks. She was 3 pounds, 13 ounces. The story isn't necessarily about her. She is obviously about a part of my testimony. All my kids are. Because ultimately they saved my life. We had our beautiful baby girl. She was in the NICU for 3 weeks. It was hard getting back and forth because I was out of work and he wasn't making enough. We only had one car, and the car was not very reliable. So when she came home, I thought everything was great. Then we planned the first brain surgery. And it was scary. I wrote a letter to my kids and to my husband, and just in case something were to happen. Lots of praying, which I had always been that person that believed in God, but back then I believed you don't have to go to church. Okay, and yes, I'm not going to digress. Okay, I'll get there. ADHD at its finest. Okay, so I just believe, like, I don't have to go to church, like, whatever. Now, I was one of those that said the F word all the time. I cussed all the time. And so I had my brain surgery. I got out, and he's like, we got it. It wasn't a big deal. Like, it was like 3 millimeters. Like, no problem. Little did we know that I also, because of the tumor, have what's called acromegaly. Acromegaly in layman's terms is gigantism. I might be short. It doesn't necessarily mean you're tall. Gigantism is basically like your hands are a lot bigger. Your jawline is a lot bigger. Your feet grow. Your nose grows. Like, if you look it up, like, you can see some of these people. There was actually a wrestler that had it. Now, he was tall, though. I unfortunately did not get any of that gene. But, hello? Oh, hi. Okay. So, anyway, gigantism also increases your growth hormone. A normal person is usually between 0 and 7. Within a year, mine grew to 1800. I was having some issues. I'll be completely honest. I don't even remember what the issues were at that time. I just remember the pain. I was back in that again. And so we went to my neurosurgeon, who then got very, very mad at my endocrinologist and was like, look, you're supposed to communicate this stuff with me, blah, blah, blah. He recommended me to a different neurosurgeon. We met up with the neurosurgeon, and then, no, we had not met with the neurosurgeon yet. Before meeting with the new neurosurgeon, my husband of 10 years, almost 10 years, altogether, married almost 6, July 5th of 2012, decided he didn't love me anymore. So we left. And although he's still a part of our children's lives and stuff, like, that was my first love. So obviously it hits pretty hard. And I struggled for a long time with that. That's a whole nother story I'm not even going to get into, but at least in this video. So he left me, and I had the appointment still with my neurosurgeon. So that was scary to do on my own, but I decided to boss up, and, cause it had to be done. So, stuff kind of happened. I went to the neurosurgeon, met him one time, and he said, okay, this is when we're going to plan your surgery. And, we scheduled a date, and, I wrote more letters because this is my second time So it's a little scarier. I mean, each time you go under, it's a risk. Keep in mind, I had never been in surgery my whole life. Well, I'd had one previous surgery, but it was a cosmetic thing. But like, this was my brain. Like, this is a big deal. Fun fact for you, your pituitary is right behind your septum. Kind of push back. It's very, very tiny. It's like, I believe about 5 to 7 millimeters. It's very small. Went in, got it done, came out. He's like, you wouldn't believe how this tiny little tumor was in a slot underneath your pituitary. And it's funny because it does mess with all your stuff because it's on your pituitary. However, it's more on your optic nerve. He's like, it really does surprise me that you're not blind in your right eye, because it was hitting on that nerve just constantly. And so I just cried a lot. I was at the hospital by myself, and I didn't have my kids, and my kids are my life. And so that caused a lot of anxiety and stress. And while I was at that hospital in Oklahoma City, I just prayed. And I just kept telling him, like, please don't let this be it. Like, my kids need me. I am the only one that's going to introduce you into their life. Like, please. Like, please, I'm begging you. So many nights that I just begged. I don't even know, man. Like, just mainly just pleaded with him. Like, please don't do this to me. 3 weeks later, after the surgery, I had to go back under the knife. I had a cerebrospinal fluid leak, and it was causing problems, and they were scared that I was going to end up, if I were to have been in contact with an infection, it could have caused me meningitis. And a lot of people don't really survive that. There are cases, but you get my point. So, I went under again. I had to stay in the hospital again. A week later, because I survived that too. Three now. Survived it. Finally got to go home. So excited. Decided I needed to live with my mom and dad for a little while. My girls were with their dad, who was also living with his parents at the time. And I just missed him, man. I just missed him so bad. And so the night I got home, it was late. I got in the car and I was like, I'm going to see my babies. Like, nobody's going to stop me. I'm very stubborn, okay? So I drove there, seen my babies. Didn't get to stay long because I got real tired and in pain. So I drove home. But there was this one particular moment when I saw a flash of light. And I can't explain that flash of light. It was a really weird thing. Still to this day, I don't know exactly what it was. I turned into the parking lot of my mom and dad's apartment, went in, and all of a sudden I could not see out of my right eye. And I was absolutely mortified. Everything went completely blank. I had no idea what was happening. It was so blurry. I looked in the mirror and my right pupil had blown. So that black little dot in the middle of my eye, like, exploded all over like the whole blue part of my eyeball. So I was home maybe an hour and had to go right back to Oklahoma City by ambulance because could be a neurological thing. I told you I had a lot of begging and pleading with God, but this particular moment was even... You think about having all that in just a short amount of time. And I finally remember laying on that gurney, being prepped to go to Oklahoma City. And I just told him to protect them through... I'm so sorry, guys. This gets really hard. To protect them. I just knew it was time. I just kept saying, it's okay. Like, I get it. You got to take me. You got to take me. And I need to stop fighting it. And, I accepted him into my heart. And I get up there and Didn't have to have another surgery. It was like hours later, it just went back down. They still don't know why it did it. So I go home, and yes, there was some ins and outs, but the part of this testimony that I need you guys to understand is that everyone has a story. Some stories are worse than mine and harder than mine. There are people that have been through a lot worse, and I've met them, and I get it. My best friend actually had lost her son, her firstborn child. And I had to witness that, and I just saw her, a part of her just really died. And when my dad died, a part of me died. Like, I get it. Like, I get that there are things, maybe you've been sexually abused, or maybe there is alcoholism or drug abuse or pharmaceutical meds, whatever it is, okay? Everyone has a story. And I have been through 3 brain surgeries, a divorce, and my best friend, my dad, dying out of nowhere. And through every single bit of that, God was there. The one person that will never, ever, ever leave your side, no matter what. So in 2017, after my dad passed, I had made a decision that I was going to try harder for my kids. Not just for myself, but for my kids. And it's just this past couple months, obviously it's been harder, but God is always, I digress. When I say harder, I just mean like I see what's going on in the world today. And so like Satan he's doing everything he can to wear you out. He's either going to keep you super busy, and he's going to make it to where you don't have time for your Bible. Whatever it may be. Okay. I don't know. I don't know anything about the supernatural. I don't know anything about all that. There are people that say, why is it that you believe in something that you can't see? You walk by faith and not by sight, and you shouldn't do that. And my response used to be anger, but now it's, I don't have to see it, because I truly believe without a shadow of a doubt, I would not be here. God has a reason for me. If I have breath in my lungs, there is a purpose. My test is my testimony. My mess is my message. And God takes a broken crayon, still writes. It still makes art. Just because I have things that are broken doesn't necessarily mean that God can't put it back together and make it a totally different thing. This entire journey and experience has been absolutely amazing for me. And one of the other reasons that I just absolutely love the fact that I can get on here and talk about it is because there's so much in my head, and writing it on paper is just not doing it. And my kids get annoyed. They're just like, I'm like, guess what's happening in the world today? I am very open about my faith to my kids, by the way. Like, I tell them about everything, and they know about the rapture, and they're excited. But dude, there's every single one of us. I'm talking even children they have a story. They're going through things. Satan is going to do everything he can. I'm going to tell y'all, just like I told my kids, those little whispers you hear in your head, you're not good enough. There is no one out there that is going to love you because you're overweight. No one's going to love you because you are crappy to people. You're not a good person. Whatever it is that you're being told, I promise you that is not a spirit of God. That is not God. It is not fair that you feel like you have to wear the weight of the world on your shoulders, because you don't. Whatever Satan is trying to whisper to you, that it all has to be done in one moment, or you have to do this and you have to do that. People have to like you. People have to like you. No, they don't. No, they don't. You're not everybody's cup of tea. Don't fall victim to society, because that's not a spirit of God. God loves endlessly and fiercely. And he is so good. He is so good. And I wish that I could make somebody feel that today, because I know if they felt that, once you experience it, there's no looking back. I mean, everybody falls short of the glory of God daily. I get that, okay? But you get my point. Okay, like we all stray away, but once you feel that, you want that back. You almost crave that back. That peace, that calm. If you don't know Jesus, I strongly urge you to get to know him. Or if you don't know him and you have questions, I might not know all the answers, but I sure as heck will do everything I can to find them. I've linked in my previous videos some people that, have helped me get where I am today. And when I mean that, I just mean like in my personal relationship with Jesus. Okay, so these people are encouraging. They keep you uplifted. They say that you are saved by grace alone, through faith alone, in Christ alone. And I'm going to tell you right now, I had never believed that before until recent. So I strongly urge you to get on my last video and look in the description box and look at those 3 to 4 to 5 people who are uplifting. I've said their names before. One, I don't know why I forgot him, because I love his videos too. But Brother Greg Jackson, and then Tim Henderson, Pastor Tim Henderson, Gigi off Blue Heaven, and then Chelsea Bedell. Like, these people, they keep you afoot. Barry Scarborough's one. I knew I forgot one. Anyway, I should just get in the description box and put every single person. No, I'm just kidding. But I strongly encourage you to at least ask your questions. It's okay to ask your questions. It's perfectly fine. You would not be curious if you did not. I mean, you would not be human if you did not ask. Okay, ask away. Ask me whatever you feel like you need to do. Challenge me if you will. It doesn't hurt me, because I don't get offended easily. I've just never been that type of person. Pardon me. I love you guys. And I'm so sorry for the lengthy video, but I just felt like it might help somebody out there, or maybe encourage you to finally put your testimony out there, or maybe it'll just make you, even if it just makes you a step closer to getting to know Jesus. Even if it's just a step, I feel like I've done something. I love you guys so very much. And I will continue to pray for each and every one of you. If any of you have a prayer request, please put it in the comments below, and I will put you on my prayer list, and I will pray for you. So yeah. So I love you guys, and I hope y'all have such a blessed day.